Well, good morning, Rotary District 7770. Welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People for Monday, July 13th. My name is Donald Hovis with the Chicora Rotary Club here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Today, we are joined by Dr. Bill Green, who was a former member of the Chicora Rotary Club here in Myrtle Beach. Also, he is a past president of the Chicora Club, along with a past assistant governor in our district. He is now very involved in the Daniel Island Rotary Club, and he is here today to talk about water missions. Good morning, Dr. Green.
Good morning, Don. Good to be with you. Thanks for the invitation to be here.
Hey, we're excited to hear from you. To kick it off today, I will do the vision statement of Rotary. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Lots of folks on the call here this morning. Let me go down and do some introductions here. Past Rotary International Vice President from the Rotary Club of Columbia East, I believe. She says she's already walked 5 miles today, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. She's wearing a Gamecock hat. No other, the lovely Miss Ann Matthews. Good morning, Ann. Love seeing you here. I wish I'd walked 5 miles by now. You inspire me. Past district governor from the Rotary Club of Mount Pleasant, Mr. Lou Mello. Good morning, Lou.
Good morning.
Past district governor from the Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island, Mr. David Terrard and his wife, Susan. Good morning, guys. Let me pan here and see. Our past district governor from the Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island, Miss Sandy Brooks. Good morning, Sandy. Our current district governor from the Rotary Club of Myrtle Beach, Miss Pauline Levesque. Good morning, Pauline. Our public image chair for our Rotary district. She's the one who sets up all of these interviews for us for CWRAP. From the 5 Points Rotary Club in Columbia, Miss Mary Gask. Thank you, Mary, for what you do. And last but not least, our district communications chair. He runs the stream here, does a lot also for CWRAP from the Somerville Evening Rotary Club, Mr. Terry Moore. Thank you, Terry. Dr. Green, I think at this point we may want to start your screen share. I do have the questions that you submitted over prior to the interview. So
Okay.
I think I want to start out as we get this kind of process set up is, you've done a lot with global grants. So how did you get involved with global grants?
Let me say, I don't want to go to slides just yet, so can I stay on the live screen?
Sure.
Okay. We ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Great. My story is not a terribly long one. Mary Ellen talked me into becoming a Rotarian in 1999, and I always do what she says, so I joined, and that's one of the best things I've ever done. In 2000, I felt a sense as a surgeon to get involved with medical mission work. It kind of scared me. I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, but in a sense of obedience, I followed the call, and the results have been far beyond my wildest dreams. A friend of mine, Dr. Joe Jarrett, invited me to go to Haiti on the first trip. We went down. It was a life-changing experience. Anybody that might consider going on a mission trip, I'd strongly urge you to consider doing it. You don't need to be a surgeon to go on a mission trip. We use all folks in all walks of life to get involved. But this went on to be a total of 8 mission trips I made. I had the opportunity in Haiti to operate on 125 of the poorest people on the face of the earth, and it dramatically changed my life. Haiti is a very difficult country. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. About 50% of the people go to bed hungry every night. About 60% of the people are illiterate. It's a very difficult place to work, but a challenging opportunity for me to get involved.
So talk about your mission trips and how they turned into Rotary projects.
Well, on the first mission trip, I was excited to take my scalpel down and do surgery in the country. But over time, I came to realize that with a scalpel, you only cure one person at a time. I started getting involved with the water and sanitation projects, and I realized that when you do a project like this, you're treating an entire village for decades with clean water and clean sanitation. So I found that that was a far more productive way to have an impact on a third world country. Third world ministers are the main unifying group in the country. And I met a Haitian Episcopal priest, Pierre Val, who had 6 churches and 5 schools that he was responsible for. I developed a nice relationship with him, and he made me aware that Haitians don't have the basics of living that you and I expect on a daily basis, things like electricity and trash pickup and water and sanitation. Water is the most important and pressing concern in most third world countries. Water is very difficult. Women and children spend hours every day carrying often polluted water on their heads back to their villages to provide water for their families. And the water makes people deathly ill on a regular basis, and it kills little babies. Water weighs 8.8 pounds per gallon, so carrying this is a very difficult task. In 2001, I learned about the magnificent program called Global Grants that Rotary makes available to all of us. We raised our first global grant from the CWRAP Rotary Club. We raised $96,000 for a water sanitation project in a place called Croix de Bouquet, which was the home parish of the Episcopal priest I just mentioned. 2 trips later, I started another global grant with Myrtle Beach Rotary Club. We raised another $48,000 for Gourmand in Haiti, one of the lesser parishes that he was responsible for.
So global grants have a reputation out there of being, very complex and time consuming, but I think you can tell us it is not the case, correct?
Yes, let me switch over to the slides and we'll get on with things. It's a picture of a little girl carrying the water that we're talking about, and you can see the color of the water in that river. That's what they rely upon to drink and to wash their clothes. These are the kind of wells that the kids pull the water out of, and it's just disgusting to see the way that these people have to live. This was our first grant that I mentioned, the $96,000 grant on the left side. That's a 3-story water tower that was built by hand. People had ladders. They literally carried buckets of concrete, 1 bucket at a time, to create that water system. On the right side is a more modern system that was built in Gourmand. There are 2 toilets that you see at the bottom. There are water tanks at the top. And most importantly, at the very top, they were just beginning to put in solar panels. And this was a totally independent solar panel system that we used for the first time in Gourmand. You mentioned about global grants being difficult, and they are. They're not easy, but the complexity demonstrates Rotary's commitment to dispersing our funds wisely. One must first identify a basic need in a developing country. The next step is the completion of a community assessment, and often that could take as long as 2 years to get that underway before you actually start developing the grant. One must then develop a trusted partnership with a host Rotary Club in the distant country. Months to years go by until that work is completed. Records till the work of actually construction of the grant is completed. It can often take a year or often 2 years to get the work completed. During that time, records are carefully kept, and there's a timely report that closes out the grant at the end of the time.
So do you have a current project going on right now in Peru?
We do. We sort of short-circuited the system. I got in touch with Water Missions. In fact, one of our Water Missions directors, Lem Walker, is on this communication right now. I asked them if they had any shovel-ready grants that were ready, and they mentioned Loma Negra, where they had 2 water projects in the past, and they were in need of a sanitation project. So we began raising money, and we raised a total of $28,000 from our Daniel Island Rotary Club and 10 other Rotary clubs in this area, including Lou Mellows, who's on this conference call. The global grants give us an opportunity for every dollar that's raised to actually wind up with $3.50 through matching with the district, and then matching once again with Rotary International if the grant is approved. Our sanitation project consisted of creating 200 sanitary latrines in Loma Negra. The slide that you see on the screen now is the first sanitary latrine that was created. We met with past district governor Juan Simon, who is the Water Missions Director for Peru, and he's facilitated the completion of the grant. At this point, we've completed 190 of the latrines, but it's been cut short now by the COVID epidemic. Things are shut down. We hope things will be opened up again in September. We have 10 more of the latrines to complete, and then we'll close out the grant. Our sanitary latrine, hold on just a minute, there we go, is not what you consider your old grandfather's outhouse. It's a state-of-the-art technology that they use. They have a series of aluminum molds that they bolt together. They pour concrete into the molds to create the permanent structure that should last for several decades. Laborers then dig a large brick-lined holding pit by hand. And the critical part of this is that they have a P-trap, which is what you have on your valves in America toilets that prevent odors and insects from getting involved. And they have these on the systems in Loma Negra. So people wash their hands. The water that they use for washing their hands is flushed down the toilet, and that creates a water seal. So there are no odors and there are no flies involved with this project.
So over the years, you have become a Rotary liaison with water missions. Can you tell us a bit about water missions?
I'd really love to. Water Missions has become my favorite charity, and they've become intensely linked with Rotary with a number of projects that we've done over the years. The story begins in 2001. The white-skinned people that you see here are Dr. George Green, a PhD. Let me think. His PhD is in engineering, and his wife on the right side is his partner in the project. They ran an engineering company in Charleston, South Carolina. In 2001, Hurricane Mitch devastated Honduras. He was called on to ask if he could help with water purification in the island, in the country, and there were no really good systems available at that time. George Green is a genius, without a doubt. He created his famous living water treatment system that I think I can show you on the next slide, which is here. This is a box that fits on the back of a pickup truck, and it has the ability to take dirty, muddy water from a well like I just showed you, or from the river, and turn it into pure, safe, clean drinking water. There's a series of sand filters. I think a slide of that coming up next. Yeah, this is a schematic of what the system is all about. The two tanks that you see on the bottom are sand filters that filter out all the solid material, then goes into a flocculation tank that takes out any other small debris, and the filter system gives us clean drinking water. At the end of the cycle, chlorine is put into the water that is a disinfectant and makes the water clean to drink. This is what they created for Honduras, but initially the people in Honduras didn't want to drink the water. They were drinking from something that was called the River of Death in Honduras, which was a very dirty system, but that's all they had. When they saw this clean water coming out of the pipe, they really didn't know what to do with it. They really didn't trust it. So this famous picture shows Molly Green taking the first drink of clean water in Honduras, showing the people that the water was safe to drink.
So provide water and sanitation solutions for developing countries and provide immediate disaster response from natural disasters. How has Water Missions grown over the years?
Okay. This is a slide that from actually a couple of years ago that summarizes what they have been doing. 3.6 million people have been provided with clean, safe drinking water. It's actually now up to about 5 million people. 240 safe water and sanitation projects have been built, 2,400 throughout the world. Let me shift over. Over nearly 20 years, Water Missions has developed an innovative technology and engineering expertise to provide access to safe drinking water now to 5 million people in 56 countries. Water Missions has over 350 staff members working around the world in permanent country programs located in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. I attended a Rotary breakout session at the International Convention, I think it was 3 years ago in Atlanta. And the take-home message was they said that 50% of water projects that are initiated by Rotary fail. 50% of our water projects fail. Water Missions has engineers and staff around the globe to keep the systems online. Each unit communicates with fantastic technology by satellite with headquarters in Charleston. It's a system that if a system goes down because of a $5 valve, the system is offline. This is a serious threat to the entire community that it serves. If this is not repaired, the entire project becomes worthless. Water Missions global staff is responsible for maintaining the systems in the short term, but more importantly, they provide sustainability in the long term. The two water systems that I helped to create almost 18 years ago are both still online, thanks to Water Missions' backup of these systems.
And real quick, I'm going to stop right here before I go to the next question and say thank you to those that are watching today here on the Zoom call. If you will go to the chat box and tell us your Rotary Club and where you're watching from, we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have any questions for Dr. Green, please post those there as well, and we will get to those here towards the end of the segment. And then we're also streaming this over on the Rotary International District 7770 Facebook page. We encourage you to go there after this and share this video on your club pages and your personal pages. This is a very important message, a very interesting topic, and we would love for everyone in your Rotary clubs around our district to know about Water Missions and its impact not only with Rotary, but around the world. So Dr. Green, up next, what can you talk about Water Missions' impact on the world problem of water and sanitation?
Certainly. The slide that I'm showing right now is from Water Missions. Each of the rectangles that you see are locations where Water Missions has its engineers and its staff people to back up the systems that are online right now and to help create new systems. Each of the yellow circles that you see are sites where Water Missions has done a major project. Water Missions has provided relief following some of the world's most devastating natural and humanitarian disasters, including most recently Hurricane Dorian, which hit the Bahamas, Hurricane Maria, which really devastated Puerto Rico. They helped support the earthquake and tsunami projects in Indonesia and countless other projects. They now provide safe water and sanitation to hundreds of thousands of displaced persons who are living in refugee camps. Let me get up to that. So you see a site like this that may have over 100,000 people. Water Missions are providing the water to keep these people alive. These are the happy recipients of one of our projects. Currently, 2.1 billion people around the world lack access to safe drinking water. That's 1/3 of the world's population don't have safe water to drink. This is a really big problem. Twice that number, an estimated 4.2 billion people live without adequate sanitation. One person dies every 37 seconds from water-related illnesses. Children are the most vulnerable. An estimated 760,000 children under the age of 5 die each year from diarrheal diseases globally. To put that in perspective, at this point in the global pandemic crisis that we're suffering, around 500,000 people have died. So there are roughly 50% more kids dying every year from water-related illnesses than have died in the entire world with COVID so far. Water Missions has recognized the desperate need for a global solution to a global problem. Their concept involves creation of a global solution that they call Global Water Center, a global water center which will explore and disseminate best practice solutions for the water problem. Presently, many groups are working separately in disjointed, piecemeal fashion to try to deal with the problem. This is too big to tackle alone. Water Missions intends to harness the power of these isolated elements under a unified entity. They plan to bring people together in collaboration to share experiences and resources. Their ultimate goal is to reduce the 2.1 billion down to 0.
And Bill, you mentioned just a little bit ago about a third objective of monumental proportion. Would you explain that a little bit better to our viewers?
I want to bring you up to date with something that's really brand new and a work in progress. Water Missions is developing corporate sponsorships to provide funding for the Global Water Center. You may recognize the names of several large corporations who have a vested interest in water and sanitation. Companies like Kohler that provides plumbing supplies. Grundfos provides water pumps and valves. Pentair provides pool products. More than a dozen companies will share in this project. To facilitate education on water sanitation issues, 3 tractor-trailer trucks are being built to create a mobile water museum. The goal is to change hearts and minds to engage people in the global water crisis, to inspire a movement of millions of individuals to end the crisis. The 3 trucks I mentioned will be taken across the country to increase citizen awareness of these issues. The site in North Carolina, South Carolina, will soon be purchased. A fixed water museum will be constructed along with research facilities to further develop and perfect best practices in water. Entities which are now competing for expertise and funding will come together under one roof in this collaborative effort.
This sounds so exciting, especially for North Charleston, South Carolina.
We will face a massive challenge. 2.1 billion people that need water. Water Missions plans to chip away at this incomprehensible number, one person at a time.
How can individuals and or Rotary clubs get involved?
Funding and manpower are the keys. Charity Navigator has awarded Water Missions its top 4-star rating 13 years in a row, a distinction that's shared by less than 1% of all charities in the country. What you see on this slide is their Walk for Water that they do every year. We haven't had it this year, of course, but last year we raised over $400,000 with the walk in Charleston. I believe there were 13 or 14 walks for water that were held throughout the entire country to raise money. This is our group from the Daniel Island Rotary Club with our inflatable, the people that were involved, and we walked a total of, I believe, 2 miles from the naval station to the Water Mission site. And then they challenged us to take a bucket full of water and carry that water 2 miles back to the site that we started. At the end of 2 miles, I was exhausted carrying my bucket of water. I can tell you, it's a big job. Rest assured that the money which is raised will be spent wisely by Water Missions. Individuals are also encouraged to volunteer. Last year, Water Missions logged 18,000 hours of volunteer efforts. The box that I showed you a little while ago, the living water treatment system, is assembled by volunteers. It takes a few hundred hours to put one of these boxes together, and they're all done by hand by volunteers. I encourage Rotary clubs to initiate their own global grants for water or to participate in global grants along with other clubs. As I mentioned, we have 10 other Rotary clubs that have joined the Daniel Island Club for the project that we're doing in Peru at the present time. I encourage clubs to utilize the expertise of the Global Water Center to create water and sanitation projects around the world. The last picture I'll show you is George and Molly Green. They are truly inspirational in the work that they've done. Unfortunately, Molly passed away last year in a drowning that occurred in Bermuda. Both of them, George and Molly Green, received Rotary's highest international humanitarian service award. It's called the International Service Above Self Award, which is truly well-deserved.
Well, thank you, Dr. Green, for sharing what a powerful topic with us today. I have several questions from the viewers, and I'll get to those now.
Let me interrupt you for just a minute, Don. There's one more part I want to add before we go on.
Sure.
There are 3 concepts that we're involved with. Rotary International has given its members an amazing program, the Global Grant Program, which gives individuals and clubs the opportunity to create meaningful change across the globe. Don't be afraid to initiate a global grant. I presently serve as the International Service Chair. I've created a cheat sheet that outlines how to simplify a global grant process. I stand ready to mentor clubs that will accept the challenge. Number 2, Water Missions has nearly a 20-year track record of excellence in water and sanitation. They are prepared to implement a project if you can put one together. In other words, they're the boots on the ground to build the projects that you could envision. And number three, I would encourage everyone to follow and support the Global Water Center as it's rolled out. Okay, Don, continue.
Thank you, Dr. Green. As part of our sustainability drive, don't we train locals to maintain the wells?
Yes, that's part of what we do. In fact, I didn't touch on it, but education is a vital part of what Water Missions does. They have a whole syllabus of instruction that's required before a country is approved for a water project. They train the individuals on the system. They require that the communities have their own fundraising projects in order to provide money for maintenance and sustainability of the projects. So within a country like Loma Negra, they may charge $1 per a gallon for water, or maybe just 10 cents a gallon. I really don't know how much it is, but they create enough funding so that if a valve breaks or something needs refurbishing, they've got the money to do this project going forward.
So what would help with the 50% failure rate?
Well, the critical part of this is Water Missions having troops on the ground in most of the places where they have major projects. These individuals are available within a day to go to a site, fix a valve, repair something that needs fixing. And the technology, which I touched on briefly, is really amazing. Each of the major sites communicates by satellite every day with the Charleston home base. So if a system isn't producing enough clean water, if the water is not safe enough, or if a piece of equipment goes down, we know about it right away and we can go in and repair those projects.
The next is not a question, it's more of a comment from a viewer. Carrying water is a major problem throughout Africa. In South Africa, they created a large round ball that is filled with water with a special handle that is rolled along much like a wheelbarrow. Much more water, much less effort. That's pretty interesting. I'd love to see a picture of what that looks like.
Yeah, that was presented at the International Convention 3 years ago, and it's truly revolutionary. It's very simple. It's just a round bucket that rolls on the ground, and I think it probably holds 2 or 3 gallons of water, which is 25 pounds of water. And instead of carrying it on your back or on your head, you roll it up the hill back to your village, which is much easier.
Very interesting. I've never heard of something like that before. The next is a comment with a question at the end. Shelter Box has a water filtration system in some of their boxes. Could this be used for families?
There are a host of different inventions that people come up with, the most simple of which is a straw. And that straw has a filtration unit so that if you need to drink a glass of water that's contaminated, you suck it up through the straw and you've got clean, safe drinking water. There are many, many different systems. Some are designed to go in people's individual homes so that each family takes care of their own water system there. The more large projects that we do involve not only the living water treatment system that I showed you, but delivery systems as well. So there are PVC pipes that are run throughout an entire village to provide water at people's locations.
So how does a club investigate the potential for a global grant?
Well, the point that has been made many times is we don't want to tell third world countries what they need. They need to tell us what they need. And for me, the vital link has been Water Missions. They've got operatives, as I mentioned, all over the world who are aware of potential projects that we can do. So if you're considering doing a water project, I would suggest that Water Missions is the place to start. They might put you together with a country like Loma Negra, Peru. They are aware of the needs, whether it's water or sanitation. They can get you started.
And I would say around our district, there are several folks that you could go to if you were interested or had questions about even doing global grants. Dr. Green being one of those individuals. Jeff Menz, who is also a member of the Chicora Rotary Club here in Myrtle Beach, excellent resource for you. I believe Paula Matthews, who is on this call, could be an excellent resource. There's several folks around our district. So if you're ever interested, I would reach out to those folks first, and I'm sure they can get you steered in the right direction.
Past District Governor Rick Moore has been my mentor. He has helped me on many different projects and an invaluable resource for me.
Excellent. That's a great resource as well. So the final question, unless anyone else has one they want to type into the chat box for you, Dr. Green, is years ago, you could purchase a well. Is that still an option?
Yes, if you wanted to make that your project, it's relatively small. Creating a well costs around $6,000 to $9,000, and you would link that up with one of the living water treatment systems if the water wasn't clear. So that's a much smaller project than the global grants that usually run in the range of $100,000. But certainly, if a club wants to start off with something that's relatively easy to do, that's certainly a project that can be done. And water missions is the way to get started on something like that.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Green. Very informative talk here this morning. A lot of great information shared. Excellent topic. It's good to see you.
Don, good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for those that joined as well. I will say we do these segments 3 times every week. Mondays at 11, Fridays at 11, and then on Wednesdays, District Governor Pauline is doing an all-club call that is brought to you by your CWRAP team. Those start at noon. So 3 times a week, you can get great conversations with Rotary Action people from people around our district and even outside of our district. So we would encourage you, if you know someone in your Rotary Club who's not on today, share this information with them and hope they can join us on Wednesday or Friday or Monday of next week. Miss Mary Gask has done a tremendous job setting up the speaker rotation for the next month or so, and we'll be working past that as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. I will end today with the Rotary 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's a wrap for Conversations with Rotary Action People for Monday, July 13th. See everyone back on Wednesday, July 15th at noon for the next all-club conference call. Have a great Monday, everyone. Take care.